By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. This is a, as we go through the crazy pantsness of Trump world, the hangers on, the desperate attempt by these folks to still have their argument have any kind of meaning, worth, or any of that shit. This is, I want you guys to know that there is nothing to fear. You have nothing to worry about with these idiots. Want me to prove it to you? Guys, this is a video called, "Is Hunter Biden a Lobbyist Now? The Biden administration is funding crack pipe distribution." Okay, so I'm sure this will be fascinating. I think they're talking about, drug legalization, very Rand Paul kind of position. But they're funding crack pipe distribution. And no wonder Junior is pissed. He paid full price for his, and he's not a real billionaire. That's gotta upset you. That's gotta be aggravating. You pay full price and now they're handing him out for free? No wonder he's mad at Biden.
Well, guys, just when you thought it couldn't get stupider,
here he is. Just when you thought it couldn't get stupider, Don Jr.'s on the scene. Guys, ugh. And how many times in that first 4 seconds, well, let's back up. It's only been 4 seconds. Look at how many times he looks at his notes in 4 fucking seconds. Watch.
Well, guys,
right here.
Just when you thought it couldn't get stupider, just when you said, you know what, maybe I don't want to buy a
three times in 4 seconds. 5.
Ticket off of this planet. The Biden administration is apparently going to fund crack pipe distribution to advance racial equity. I mean, it seems like maybe Hunter Biden has finally found a calling as a lobbyist that's not actually...
Are you just mad that your dad didn't figure out a way to get Pervitin over the counter?
Corrupt, involving foreign nations and, other governments and absolute insanity, but something that is close to home. So apparently the Biden administration...
Look at him reading. It's adorable.
Is set to fund the distribution of crack pipes to drug addicts as a plan to advance its racial equity. The $30 million grant program, according to the Washington Free Beacon, which closed applications...
Hold on. 30 million grant, Washington Free Beacon. I'm sure. But yeah, here you go. Washington. 2 days ago. Oh, and this is, well, here the Daily Mail says it. Hold on. Here you go. This is the Free Beacon. This is what he's talking about. Biden administration to fund crack pipe distribution to advance racial equity. So he's basically reading it verbatim. So that's, in case you were wondering what Don Jr.'s entire channel on Rumble is for, besides providing him with snort money, like $500 a video so that he could have something, he can get some booger sugar. It's to read the Washington Free Beacon to people. $30 million program will provide smoking kits to vulnerable communities. The Biden administration is set to fund distribution of crack pipes to drug addicts as part of its plan to advance racial equity. The $30 million grant program, which closed application Monday and will begin in May, will provide funds to nonprofits and local governments to help make drug use safer for addicts. Included in the grant, which is overseen by the Department of Health and Human Services, are funds for smoking kits supplies. A spokesperson for the agency told the Washington Free Beacon these kits will provide pipes for users to smoke crack, cocaine, crystal meth, and any illicit substance. Said the kits aim to reduce the risk of infection when smoking substances with glass pipes, which can lead to infections through cuts and sores. Applicants for the grants are prioritized if they treat a majority of underserved communities, including African Americans and LGBTQ plus persons, as established under President Joe Biden's executive order on advancing racial equity. Democratic-run cities such as San Francisco and Seattle have distributed smoking kits to residents. Some local governments, however, have in recent years backed away from their smoking kit programs over concerns that they enable drug use. Louisville, Kentucky, for example, allowed convenience stores to sell smoking kits but later banned them. Legislators in Maryland ditched their distribution plan after facing backlash from local law enforcement and African American leaders. The Sergeant Clyde Boatwright President of the Maryland Fraternal Order of Police said the government resources are better spent on preventing drug abuse than making it safer. If we look at more prevent, well, they're not. This isn't about the criminal aspect of drug abuse. This is about the health nature. So, Health and Human Services is recognizing that there's a contagion problem, and it spreads through communities because people share a crack pipe and then they bring it home and they kiss their wife or children or what have you, and they pass along awful. Funding for a harm reduction grant program is provided through Democrats' American Rescue Plan. Senate passed along the lines of Vice President. Okay, wait a minute. The grant program will last 3 years and includes 25 awards of up to $400,000. Declined to specify what is included in the smoking kit. Similar distribution provide efforts, mouthpieces to prevent glass cuts, rubber bands to prevent burns, filters to I see. So they're not passing out crack pipes. They're passing out little rubber stems you can put on the end of it so you don't burn your mouth, open a sore, and pass something on. Rubber bands, same reason, to wrap around them, and filters to minimize the risk of disease. For pot, to cool the smoke. Biden's son Hunter is a longtime user of crack cocaine. No, he isn't. He's a recovering addict. It's against federal law to distribute or sell drug unless authorized by the government. Well, they authorized and it's not for sale. Ew. Now, that's the Washington Free Beacon's take on it. Now, there's a Daily Mail article that deals with the exact same thing. $30 million grant program will distribute funds to nonprofits and local governments to make drug use safer and advance racial equity. Included in the grant program is purchase for included in it is that not $30 million for that. That's for like syringes or Narcan and shit like that. Spokesperson for HHS said this, included in these kits will be pipes for users to smoke substances like crack cocaine and crystal meth. Said the kits will serve to limit the risk of infection. Typically, users smoke out of a glass pipe. Okay, are they talking to the same person? Part of the harm reduction plan. 30 million, yes, because you don't want them to die. There's a lot of dead people, so you're trying to fix that. Included in the grant is money to purchase safe smoking kits, supplies. A spokesperson that included in these kits could be pipes for users. That's because it's up to the state. Like crack cocaine. Like, hey, could the state put shit like that in there? Yes, they could. Do you put them in there? No, we don't. Applicants for the programs get priority if they serve underserved communities. Handing on pipes is also intended to prompt users to smoke rather than inject themselves with some substances like meth, as injection is far riskier. See, it's easier to save someone from addiction if they survive the addiction. Now, if you're a Republican and you're pro-life, what you want is as many people to die of their drug problem as possible because you're just culling the herd. Right? I mean, that's what pro-life is all about.
On Monday will begin in May, will provide funds to nonprofits and local governments to help make drug use safer for the addicts. So we're going to encourage crack use. We're going to make
No, they're going to smoke crack anyways. The idea is that you're trying to minimize the amount of infectious disease and death so that you can intervene, because the idea is that government intervention doesn't work with a dead person.
That crack use is distributed equally amongst society. Again,
Well, no, the interventions that they're talking about exist in wealthier communities. There are more opportunities to intervene than there are in poorer communities. People use longer and more extremely in poorer communities a lot of times, including places like Appalachia, an underserved community as well. And if you can slow that down some, you'll have a chance to actually save some lives. Now, I know that their idea is that drugs are kind of a natural purge, that the upside, the silver lining of the fentanyl and opioid crisis is that Trump and his buddies get to purge themselves of the dude who used to crash on your couch. I mean, if more of these addicts would just hurry up and die, we could all just get on with it. And it would be scarier for people. You want people to die so that people don't try stuff because the fear of death is the reason why they don't try it, instead of just advancing drug curiosity, which is a problem. So what they're hoping is that these people just die. That's what they want. By the way, don't do drugs. I don't do drugs at all. I'm never going to do drugs. I'm not interested in doing drugs. I don't want to do drugs. I'm not going to do drugs. I think you're plenty on your own. You don't need any of it to be better. You don't need any of it to be more interesting. work on yourself. It's all within you. Everything that drugs could release is there naturally inside you. Do the fucking work.
They're part of the focus group for this initiative.
And end of PSA.
Did he receive free samplings? Because again, it does seem like
they actually give a shit about addicts.
On his calling, but can this be real? Can any administration be this?
President Donald Trump's administration introduced the first national plan on substance use disorder treatment as part of its annual drug strategy, a document often emphasizing abstinence and supply-side policing. The Office of National Drug Control Policy, ONDCP, which I think is who hired RoboCop after he moved out of Detroit, released its annual strategy document on February 3rd, outlining the same usual three priorities: prevention, treatment, and policing of the drug trade. What's different this year is the addition of supplementary national treatment plan for substance use disorder to address increasing access to treatment and closing the gap. Central priority for the treatment plan is the expansion of opioid substitution therapy to the 9 out of 10 U.S. Americans who need it but are still not receiving it. The strategy specifically aims to boost the percentage of practitioners certified to administer, prescribe, and dispense buprenorphine. Buprenorphine for opioid use disorder from 4% to 10%. It does not recommend eliminating the waiver administration, Interventions for a growing number of people's experience suggest stimulant-related harms play roles in the plan, suggests increasing access to treatment programs. Surprisingly, the strategy throws support behind services offered at syringe exchanges. Oh, look at that. Why are they encouraging? Why is the Trump administration encouraging heroin use and the injection of meth? Isn't that what's happening? Guys, apparently stimulants, someone in the Trump administration thinks that stimulants deserve some, surprisingly, look at that, throw support behind services offered at syringe exchanges. The plan is likely not referring to those related to actual syringes, given the ongoing ban on federal funding for such efforts. But the mention of syringe service programs at all is a departure from the 2019 strategy, where no mention was made of them. This time around, Trump's plan identifies peer workers as assets and increasing treatment accessibility because they're effective in introducing naloxone distribution and training, and in supporting syringe service programs. Look at that. It also recognizes SSPs. That's funding for NGOs that will do that. That's what they're talking about. Guys, it's almost like the Biden administration is worried about crack now, as opposed to just cocaine.
Then again, you look at Joe Biden, you say it probably makes total sense. They can be this stupid. They can be.
Well, your dad was supporting syringe programs for the very same reason that they would be doing this. And again, this isn't, this is people who are going to do the drug anyways. You get these kits because if you use your own and you have your own, you can replace your own if it breaks or is destroyed, then you're less likely to share a mouthpiece with somebody else who might have a disease. And that kind of gacks up downtown's healthcare system.
This inept.
They
can also make this a priority and a focus to spend tens of millions of dollars on, rather than, say, fixing the supply chain crisis. Maybe not.
Why are these related?
World War III with Russia. Minor details like that. Like maybe not screwing up the Afghan withdrawal. Magoo. Can't be bothered. Let's focus on something close to home. Crack addiction.
This was passed in the American Rescue Plan.
A crack pipe for all.
In April of last year.
A crack pipe for all, right? What is going on here?
I explained it, but I mean, you got shit in your ears, so I don't know why you probably don't understand. Your dad did it with syringes. They're doing it with pipes because Health and Human Services recognize that the passing mouth to mouth of a glass pipe versus, say, a joint, for example, it has a higher risk of passing on pathogens. And those pathogens spread through a community. And in spreading through a community, they fill up hospitals and the like with people who are sick and dying. And that takes resources away from everyone else. So there's a small price to pay to not have to allocate like a ventilator later.
So the guy that pushed for imprisonment of drug users, Joe Biden, very clear throughout his history, is now pushing crack pipes onto the street. I mean,
which one are you for? Are you for what he used to do, or you would say he used to do?
Say you're a drug dealer without saying you're a drug dealer. Do you think the big guy is getting 10% for this one? Do you think maybe he's in on it somehow? Because like otherwise,
Oh God, this is very labored. This is a lot of work. This is a lot. He's putting a way too much effort into going, oh, crack, Hunter, crack, and crack. Never mind the fact that this is a small aspect of this $30 million allocation for the possibility of grants, by the way, that aren't all taken, but are there if they want them. So it really, if cities and states want to do these pipe programs, it's up to them. They apply for a grant to do it. There's federal funds available for to prevent deaths, essentially, which I know he's against because, I mean, they're addicts. Why would you want to keep them alive? You know, it's the Rush Limbaugh plan. Everybody deserves to go to jail for being an addict or a user, except him.
And figure out a way to make this make sense, other than maybe to keep a population controlled and subdued by use of crack. I mean,
you don't sedate a populace with crack. Just for the record, I'm just saying. You're way better off with pot and fluoride, I think. If that's your current conspiracy theory, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that crack wouldn't exactly turn the public into subservients.
Stranger things have happened, and when you look at the other decisions they're making, you got
No, there's officially nothing stranger than thinking you could subdue a populace with crack.
Wonder, but this is insanity. And you'd love to believe that it's a joke. But it's not. Our leadership.
Well, no. It's a real thing. Your response is a joke, though. See, we get to enjoy that. We get to watch a grown man try to make political points using something he absolutely is incapable of comprehending while reading notes given to him by, I guess, the Heritage Foundation and the RNC.
Class should be impeached. This is the kind of thinking that ends civilizations and certainly ends great nations. You'd think it's a...
Why? What must you think of all people that you think that this kind of addiction is just, I mean, we're one step away. All they got to do is start handing out free crack pipes. Great opinion of the average American. Dudes, if you start giving away, that the only thing that is keeping people from not taking up crack is pipe access.
From the Babylon Bee, but you'd be right.
He's looking for UPI, Universal Pipe, UPA, Universal Pipe Access. Why his eyes are red and half crossed? Because he's baked. That's why. Or coked out of his fucking mind, or both.
You'd think maybe the Onion would do this, but it's not the Onion. You.
Whoops, 1 second. The Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2018 permits use of funds from the Department of Health and Human Services under certain circumstances to support SSPs, with the exception that funds may not be used to purchase needles or syringes. So you pay people and then they buy them. HHS released guidance for state, local, tribal, territorial health departments that will allow them to request permission to use federal funds to support SSPs. These are syringe service programs. That's what an SSP is. This bill passed in 2018, signed into law by Donald Trump. 2019 went into effect. Each federal agency, CDC, SAMHSA, HRSA, develops its own guidance for funding recipients regarding which specific programs may apply and its application process. Can federal resources be used to support the implementation of SSPs? The Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2018 permits use of funds from the Department of Health and Human Services under certain circumstances to support SSPs, with the exception that the funds may not be used to purchase needle or syringes. Like, you buy your own, we'll give you the money. You use the other money, we'll pay for you to pass them out. What parts of SSPs can federal funding support? Let's see. Personnel, testing kits for viral hepatitis and HIV, syringe disposal services, navigation services to ensure linkage to HIV and viral hepatitis prevention, treatment, and care services, including antiretroviral therapy for HCV and HIV, provision of naloxone to reverse opioid overdoses, educational materials, including information about safer injection practices. Just teaching. Oh yeah, print out some pamphlets on how to give yourself an injection of drugs safer. I'm sure Junior's for this. This is like something out of the Onion, guys. Overdose prevention and reversing opioid overdose with naloxone, HIV and viral hepatitis prevention, treatment and care services, mental health substance disorder treatment, including medication-assisted treatment and recovery support services, condoms. So I was passing out condoms to reduce the risk of sexual transmission of HIV, viral hepatitis, and other sexually transmitted diseases, communication activities, planning, and non-research evaluation activities. Are there restrictions on what? Sure. Process of setting up the approval. You get a grant. Oh, grants. They're giving out grants. Oh, like they've always done? What a dipshit.
Make it up. I guess they're coming up with a job for Hunter. Maybe he'll figure out a way to get 10% to the big guy. Who knows?
Dude, you've already said that part. You already did the 10% to the big guy Hunter Biden job thing. This video is 3 minutes and 49 seconds long, and you've already repeated your talking points 3 times. I mean, maybe that's right out of Mein Kampf or something. That's where you learn.
But it's not a joke. And I'm beginning to wonder if maybe POTUS is getting 10% from the Mexican cartels, who are probably thrilled.
I don't know if anyone is getting 10% from the Mexican cartels. I've never met the Mexican cartels. They seem like a lovely family.
From the Mexican cartels, who are probably...
Yeah, sure. From the Mexican cartels. Which, by the way, if you don't know them, they're a singing group. The Tartels. Fabulous. They had that song like, don't step on my crack pipe, don't step on my crack pipe, ooh, ooh, like that. And they had like 4 of them that danced and 2 of them that sang. And then one of them would always swing forward and go, crack pipe, crack pipe. I mean, the originals are in Spanish. I don't understand any of it. But the Mexican Tartels they're the best version. Because I don't know if you know this, the Tartels are the most successful singing group in history. There's one in every language. Sorry. The Mexican. Dude, back up. You're 350.
This is getting 10% from the Mexican cartels, who are probably thrilled about this and maybe getting to cut it with Chinese fentanyl while Americans die.
Fentanyl, but sure.
In their beds and in the streets due to this kind of addiction. We're just going to say it's fine. No problem.
Well, yeah, fentanyl doesn't get mixed with crack, by the way. I mean, if you had an opioid problem and you were trying to tilt people away from dying of opioids, stimulants would be one of the where it's like, hey, if you're going to do shitty drugs that burn your insides out, do the ones that aren't going to kill you right away. So we can at least talk you out of it in a couple weeks.
Nothing to see here, folks. These people are sick. Equity?
Wait a minute. Sick in quotes?
In crack use? Give me a break. But I guess
he's just jealous. He's just jealous he had to pay for his.
It's a topic that's close to home for the Biden administration, so maybe that's why they're all over it.
That was fascinating. That was worth it just for the Mexican cartels, I think.